For the rise of labor unions and notes, you want to read the following scenario through. Okay, Dr. Janet Smith is the owner, and read about everything. And then on your own, review the essential information and record the information in this area. How many teachers, what's their hourly wage, how much do students have to pay, what do the teachers have to pay for on their own, not including housing and food, that's not assumed. And then teacher benefits. Benefits are things like health insurance and retirement. And then think about what are the issues according to management and what are the issues according to labor. Think about issues and goals, so maybe an issue that a business owner would have for management. What do they have to take care of? And then issues according to labor, what are the goals and what are the things they have to take care of? When you're done with that, then pause the video while you complete that, and then come back to the video, and we will go to the notes section, which you record at the bottom of the back side of that page. All right, now that you've finished with the scenario on the front side of the sheet, think about what options the teachers have. Okay, what are things that you've heard about that people who are frustrated with their working conditions can do in order to change their working conditions? So pause the video for a second, make a list of everything that you know about. Think of things that you've heard maybe in the video that we watched about the Apple company, and then when you're done, come back and we will start the notes. All right, so starting the notes, with labor unions are organizations of workers that try to improve working conditions, wages, and benefits for its members. So any kind of group that labors can form a union technically, trying to improve their working conditions, wages, and benefits. Now, unionization is the process of forming a union, but more officially we say it's the process of soliciting for support or asking for support from the workers and setting up the governing structure of a labor union. So who's going to be the president, who's going to be the secretary, who's going to be the treasurer, who's going to be responsible for getting the word out, who's going to be responsible for talking with the owners of the business, things like that. So unionization is the process of creating and setting up the union. So labor unions form when workers form the groups to change conditions. Okay, that's the basic idea. And then sometimes it's based on a specific job or a skill level. So it's not like there's one national union for every single worker in the United States. There will be unions, for example, my uncle is in a union up in New Jersey for the firefighters because he's a fire captain. Another uncle is an electrician, and so he's in the union for electricians to help make sure that they have a good pay and good benefits from their jobs. So during the Industrial Revolution, a lot of the unions that formed were for specific workers, for railroad workers, for steel workers, for workers of the oil production. And one of the most famous that formed was the Industrial Workers of the World. And I wanted to show you this little political cartoon, this idea that the hand that will rule the world is one big union. So they join together and they have a bigger power against the business owners who may not be treating things correctly. So some goals of labor unions are demanding and improving working conditions and higher wages, demanding laws to regulate factories and make sure that the factories are clean and safe, set working hours, like you see the guy over here in the picture with an 8-hour workday, and then ending child labor. So those were definitely goals during the Industrial Revolution. Today, the first three are definitely goals still. Child labor in the U.S. is not so much of a problem. Around the world, there is still some child labor, but it's not as much as you would think. And then how do labor unions work to achieve their goals? Think of that list that you created about the teachers and what they could do. Okay, they're going to do strikes, go on strike, like you see the guys here, Ford workers on strike in the picture. They're going to try and do collective bargaining, where they use the power of a large group to come in and talk with the owners and say, look, we're not happy with this. All million workers are not happy with this, so you need to change something, or all 1,000. And they can start boycotts where they encourage people to not buy their products unless the union is supported. So you can see a poster over here promoting a boycott. And then here's another poster that you would see, like insist upon this label that's sewn into clothing, and the guy's showing where it would be to make sure that the unions are preventing inferior, unclean sweatshops from being made. So buy the ones that are being made by a union that have better conditions, so we can get rid of the ones with bad conditions. Okay, here are some ladies who are tailors and they're picketing which is when you basically are on strike and you hold a sign and you walk around, or you wear a sign and walk around. Another famous strike in the United States was the Pullman strike, where thousands of railroad workers walked off. They were making the very fancy Pullman cars that were like the covered in velvet and gold and everything, and that the rich people would ride on the railroads in. Here's a picture from Ladies Waist and Dressmakers Union picketing, you can see with their signs. Here is a cannery workers and farm laborers union. Cannery is like when you take the food and put it into cans. And then more recent, there's the Woolworth workers strike. The Woolworth was a department store, and they would have like a lunch counter where you could go and eat lunch while you were shopping, kind of like a little cafe. And these were the ladies that worked not only in the store but in the cafe as well, and they wanted to help us win a 40-hour work week so that you could only work 40 hours a week. Last year, in 2012, the Chicago city teachers went on strike. They wanted to, and you can see a picture here of them marching through Chicago downtown. They wanted better working pay because the Chicago school district was going to slash their pay by a lot. So they wanted a fair contract where they only had a certain number of hours. And so even today, people are still going on strike. It's still a useful method. Now, there are some things called right-to-work states, and these are states that prevent workers from forming unions. So it says in the contract that you cannot form a union and you cannot go on strikes. And so it's the right to work, that you always have the right to work and not go on strike. Kind of a funny name for calling it. But Virginia is one of these states. And so in my contract as a teacher in Virginia, it says that if I join a union, I will be fired automatically, no questions asked. And if I go on strike, I will be fired. Now, we can form professional organizations, but our organizations cannot bargain with the school board over our pay or our benefits or working conditions, anything like that. So my question for you to think about and to answer at the very bottom of your notes sheet is this okay? Or should unions be allowed to form under any condition? So think about it, and what do you think? We talked about this in class. And make up your mind to have some reasons to back up your thoughts. And this is the end of our notes.